The Economist's Diet, the surprising formula for losing weight and keeping it off, is a unique take on weight loss that applies economic principles to food consumption, weight management, and long-term health. Written by Christopher Payne and Rob Barnett, two economists who successfully lost a significant amount of weight and kept it off, the book presents a refreshingly logical and data-driven approach to dieting. Rather than promoting fad diets, extreme restrictions, or complicated nutritional regimens, the authors argue that the key to sustainable weight loss lies in applying the principles of scarcity, budgeting, and rational decision-making, concepts that are fundamental to economics. The book opens with a discussion of the author's personal weight loss journeys. Both Payne and Barnett had struggled with obesity for years, trying countless diets without long-term success. However, once they began to think about food the way they thought about money, through the lens of supply and demand, scarcity, and self-regulation, they were able to lose weight and maintain a healthier lifestyle. They realized that just as financial well-being depends on spending less than one earns, weight management depends on consuming fewer calories than one burns. One of the core concepts introduced early in the book is the idea of frugality when it comes to food. The authors argue that much like financial frugality, where individuals must learn to spend wisely and avoid unnecessary expenses, dietary frugality is about eating less and making more conscious food choices. They emphasize that in the modern world, food is abundant and easily accessible, leading many people to consume far more than they actually need. This excess consumption, much like overspending, leads to unhealthy consequences. The key, they argue, is learning to control food intake the way one would control financial expenditures. The authors introduce a simple but effective philosophy: eat less. While this may sound overly simplistic, they argue that the primary reason for obesity is excessive calorie intake, and the solution is to reduce the overall quantity of food consumed. They criticize complex diet plans that focus on specific macronutrient ratios or eliminate entire food groups, stating that these methods overcomplicate weight loss. Instead, they propose a straightforward approach: reduce portion sizes, cut back on snacking, and develop an intuitive sense of when enough is enough. The book also emphasizes the importance of self-control, a key concept in both economics and dieting. The authors discuss the behavioral tendencies that lead to overeating, such as impulse buying at the grocery store, indulging in emotional eating, and being influenced by marketing tactics that encourage excessive consumption. They draw parallels to consumer spending habits, explaining that just as people make impulse purchases they later regret, they also make impulsive food choices that sabotage their weight loss efforts. By developing discipline and mindfulness, individuals can resist unnecessary food temptations just as they might resist the urge to splurge on luxury items. One of the most interesting concepts in the book is, weigh yourself every day. The authors advocate for daily weigh-ins as a way to stay accountable and track progress in real time. Unlike many diet plans that discourage frequent weighing due to daily fluctuations, Payne and Barnett argue that monitoring weight regularly helps individuals identify patterns, adjust behavior accordingly, and maintain a long-term focus on their goals. This approach is similar to how economists analyze market trends and make data-driven decisions based on measurable changes. Another key principle is, avoid eating out too often. The authors discuss how restaurant meals are often higher in calories, fat, and sodium than homemade meals. Just as economists advise people to avoid unnecessary expenses in order to save money, they suggest cutting back on restaurant visits to save calories. They recommend preparing meals at home as often as possible, as this allows individuals to control portion sizes and ingredients. By viewing eating out as an occasional luxury rather than a regular habit, people can better manage their caloric intake. The book also challenges the idea that exercise alone can lead to weight loss. While physical activity is essential for overall health, the authors argue that weight loss is primarily driven by diet. They point out that burning off the calories from a single fast food meal can require hours of intense exercise, making it inefficient to rely on workouts as the primary means of weight control. Instead, they emphasize that the most effective strategy is to eat less in the first place, which reduces the need for excessive exercise. This concept aligns with economic efficiency, minimizing waste and maximizing results. One of the most relatable sections of the book deals with feast days and fast days. The authors acknowledge that strict dieting every single day is unrealistic and unsustainable. Instead, they propose a system where individuals can indulge occasionally but compensate by eating less on other days. This approach mirrors financial budgeting, where people can splurge on big purchases once in a while as long as they tighten their spending afterward. By applying this balance sheet mentality to eating, individuals can enjoy their favorite foods in moderation without derailing their progress. The book also covers the psychological and emotional aspects of weight loss. Many people use food as a source of comfort, stress relief, or even entertainment. The authors explore the idea that just as people sometimes shop to fill an emotional void, they also eat for reasons unrelated to hunger. By recognizing and addressing these emotional triggers, individuals can develop healthier coping mechanisms and break free from the cycle of emotional eating. Meal timing and consistency are also discussed in detail. The authors emphasized the importance of eating at regular intervals rather than grazing throughout the day. They argue that structured meals help regulate hunger and prevent mindless snacking, which often leads to overconsumption. They suggest viewing meals as planned expenditures rather than spontaneous purchases, reinforcing the idea that food choices should be intentional rather than impulsive. Another crucial aspect of the book is the idea of long-term thinking. Many diets focus on short-term results, leading people to engage in extreme behaviors that are not sustainable. Payne and Barnett argue that successful weight loss requires a mindset shift from quick fixes to lifelong habits. They encourage readers to take a long-term view of their health, just as financial advisors encourage long-term investment strategies rather than get-rich-quick schemes. The authors also discuss the importance of social influences on eating habits. They point out that people tend to eat similarly to those around them, meaning that social environments can either support or hinder weight loss efforts. They encourage readers to surround themselves with like-minded individuals who prioritize health and self-control. Just as people who associate with financially responsible individuals are more likely to make wise money choices, those who spend time with health-conscious individuals are more likely to adopt healthier eating habits. In the final chapters, the book emphasizes that weight loss is ultimately about consistency rather than perfection. The authors acknowledge that setbacks are inevitable but stress that what matters most is the ability to get back on track. They remind readers that just as financial discipline leads to long-term wealth, dietary discipline leads to long-term health. By applying economic principles to eating habits, individuals can make smarter choices, avoid unnecessary consumption, and achieve sustainable weight loss. To complement the book, the authors also recommend checking out additional resources, including their YouTube content, where they provide practical tips, real-world examples, and motivational insights. Their straightforward, logical approach to weight management makes them engaging and relatable guides for anyone looking to lose weight without falling into the trap of extreme dieting. By treating weight loss like an economic problem, with clear strategies, rational decision-making, and an emphasis on long-term balance, The Economist's Diet offers a practical and refreshing alternative to traditional diet books.